'cause you're powerful when your name is called.
Today, my first guest is the incomparable artist, Miss Shonie V. Yes, yes. Welcome to Reclaiming My Life, Shonie.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes,
It's truly an honor and a privilege to be here on today.
yes. You are so welcome. Look, I have seen you perform, and I was just so excited about you and all that you're
Yes.
doing. And to see you perform and be happy, right? In doing it. I always say, what's the story? What's the story behind that song? And I know in talking with you that you're going through a situation where you're trying to reclaim your life.
That's right.
So, if you would share with our audience.
Yes, so I actually wrote Happy about 4 years ago. Coincidentally, I wrote the song Happy during a time of sadness. At the time, I was engaged and, on the way to be married. And the song was an inspiration for me to find my own happiness, regardless of who I'm with or where I am in life. And you'll hear that in the lyrics, for those who haven't streamed it yet. But yes, I am going through a situation. I'm going through a divorce. And it's, a lot of people say, well, I'm so sorry that this has happened. But, sometimes the ending of something can be the beginning of something beautiful.
Yes.
And I'm a believer that God is a restorer of all things, regardless of what that looks like.
Yes.
And I believe for me, he was restoring my happiness.
Wow.
And so that's the reason why I wrote that song. Because sometimes you can find happiness even if you're in the pits of darkness.
Come on.
And all you gotta do is look up, and that light is there. And so yeah, I'm going through the divorce, but it doesn't define me. I'm going to allow the happiness that is within me define me, and the God that I serve to define who I am.
Yes.
And so that song is a breath of fresh air. And I wrote it as an inspiration, not only to myself, but honestly to those who I love, those who I have once loved in life, including, my soon-to-be ex-husband. I'm happy for him. I'm happy for anyone that I've came in contact in life that are doing well, and I always wish them the best, and that's where that song came from.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. And also thank you for just sharing that I'm going through a divorce. Because the reason why reclaiming my life, a lot of people ask me, well, how did you come up with reclaiming my life? And it's because of the different challenges and the trauma that I experienced in life, and it took some time to share, like divorce or sexual trauma or, wrongful eviction or whatever, any kind of abuse that I had experienced, but one day, like you said, I didn't see that happiness in that moment, and I know you're fresh in your separation, only just a few months. So, for you to give us that, it means a lot. It took me years to say, wow, I have reclaimed my life, by God's grace, but my thing too is a lot of times people don't want to share because we're thinking, oh, well, they're gonna say, oh, didn't they just get married? People are gonna frown upon us, they're gonna judge us, they're gonna criticize us, and that's why we don't share. But by you being here today talking about you're happy in the midst of going through a divorce, it's going to give someone hope. Because there are many who are going through the same situation. So it means so much, and that's what this platform is about. So thank you, Shonie.
Of course.
And then I want to ask you, going through the divorce, Of course you're going through a lot of different emotions. So what emotion would you say that you're feeling most, in the last few months?
Mm, I honestly would just say sadness, just to be honest. Um, because it's like you're grieving the death of something. Um, and I look at divorces, and sometimes it's a little harder when it comes to divorce than an actual, someone dying, because this person's not, they haven't passed away. You could still see them, you could still run into them, and so grieving the memories while still trying to cherish them,
Wow.
is what breeds a lot of that sadness, because you want to hold on to those memories, but at the same time, you don't want to live in those memories.
Wow.
Um, and that's something that has brought me a lot of sadness, but what I'm learning is to accept that and to sit in that, because it's not necessarily a bad thing. I truly believe that God loves us in our broken states.
Yes, indeed.
That is where we can be used the most. And so in that sadness, that is honestly when I find the most comfort in Christ.
Wow.
It's easy to, be happy and joyful in God when we're getting all these blessings. But when we're in that state of grief or sadness, I feel like that's when I'm the most intimate with Him. And that's when He reaches me the closest. And so that's why I'm learning to accept that, learning to maneuver in that, and really own it.
Yes.
But not let it define me.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what? Thank you for, sharing that, because let me tell you, that was deep. That was really deep.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, the grief part, the grieving, is because sometimes, we feel that we only grieve when we lose someone, when someone passed. But, we grieve, we can lose a job.
Yes.
And we're grieving.
Yes.
We can lose many things. So for you to say, hey, I'm grieving,
I'm grieving.
Yes.
2 weeks after, 2 weeks after he left, I actually was laid off from my job.
Wow. Wow.
Unexpectedly. It was just a reduction in workforce. I had been there for over 4 years. And about 4 days later, I was contacted by a recruiter who said, and I quote, "I believe that God sent me to you."
Wow.
And I was offered a position based in Germany with a salary of at least about $20,000 more.
Jesus.
So I say all that to say, I was comfortable with where I was in my marriage.
Come on.
And I was comfortable where I was in my job. And God said, "I need you to go higher. And if I would not move you, you would not leave." And so He had to shift some things, and He had to move me in order to elevate me. And that's not even to say that maybe down the line things won't change or things won't rekindle. But in this season, He had to shift some things in order to elevate. So that's why I would encourage you and all of the listeners, wherever you're comfortable at, don't be comfortable there long.
Yes.
You have to really reprogram your mind to think higher and think better. And if you are a child of God, He's going to elevate you Himself.
Yes.
He said it in His word. It's going to happen.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And all I can hear, I think it's Ty Tribbett's song, is new. Everything new.
Everything new. Everything new. Reset and reclaim.
Yes, reclaim. You
Reset
said
and
it early
reclaim.
on. You believe that God will restore.
Yes.
And sometimes we don't even realize that He has restored.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Just listening to you just now, you said, I believe God will restore.
Absolutely.
And then I heard you say, hey, the job,
Yes.
and other things that you had going on, how
Yes.
He's elevating you. So, God, we thank you. We thank you, God. And I always say, in whatever we're going through,
Yes.
count it all joy. The book of James says, count your trials joy. We don't know the why. We don't know when, how.
Yep.
But you know what? We know God. And He has the plans. He knows the plans.
That's right. His ways are higher than ours. His thoughts are higher than ours.
That's right.
He is all knowing.
Yes, all knowing.
Yeah.
And that's what I always say. Even yesterday, traveling, I had some things, some bumps in the road, and let me tell you, it was some stuff. And my daughter said, you know what? You know, the situation, I'm going to tell you real briefly.
Yeah.
I booked my friend's flight and accidentally booked it in my name. There's nothing they can do about that. So I had to purchase another flight the day of. So you can imagine how expensive that was. And then my daughter said, now we were on 2 separate flights. She said, well, why didn't you get on the flight with your friend? Because the other one was already in your name. But everything was just so chaotic and trying to do it. I didn't even think about that. And I immediately got upset. And then I said, you know what? Oh, no. Okay, thank you, God. Joy. Because he said, sit right here. This is our time.
Yes.
Because I have been ripping and running, and I immediately felt peace. And just said, you know what? I'm going to count it joy. I don't know why I didn't think about doing that. But joy. Yes.
That's so good.
Yes.
I love that word that you said, peace.
Yes.
Because in this season, God spoke to me and said, I'm preparing you for peace and happiness.
Wow.
Yes. And in order to do that, you have to come to a season of acceptance. So you said, I accepted it. And a lot of times that's what we have a hard time doing when we're wrestling with our plans against God's plans.
So true.
Once we come into that season of acceptance, that's where the peace, the happiness, and all of the prosperity comes in, because he's allowed to maneuver how he needs to move.
I love that. Once we accept it.
Once we accept
but if we don't accept it, we can't receive the peace and happiness. Look, Shonie V, you know what? We're talking about happy. Your song, Happy. We're talking about being happy. We're talking about counting everything joy, because we know who we serve and he got us, right?
Yeah.
So you know what? You definitely going to have to perform your song, Happy.
Yes.
But before you do, I want you to please let the people know how they can connect with you.
Hey everyone, you can find me and follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Shonie V Taylor. That is SHONIE Taylor. I'm also available on YouTube for Shonie V as well as Spotify, iTunes, and all other streaming platforms. So make sure you follow me. I'll give you a follow back.
Yes, awesome. Look, Shonie V, I am so happy.
Thank you.
that you joined me here today on Reclaiming My Life. Look, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, y'all going to be blessed with Happy by Shonie V.
My mother is one of the strongest people I know. It wasn't necessarily because she was in love, but really again, she was looking for a way to escape the abuse. We unfortunately became homeless.
The doctor said we both almost died.
So I suffered. I suffered in silence.
From there on, she became my momager. We started traveling all over the world.
And nearly 8 years later, I'm sitting here as my mom's business partner.
Then we started something called Quartet Unstoppable.
If she says she's gonna do it, she does it. It seems like everything you touch turns to gold.
Everybody that was raised around her is doing good in life.
I began to really admire and respect her. I was instantly motivated. I'm talking about a full-blown production, lights, camera, action. I'm so thankful that Claudia and I crossed paths. Claudia always go over and beyond.
But for someone who's been hurt so much, she only wants to help you.
My mom always finds a way to count everything joy.
I hope that you're in a good space, and I hope that you see better days. We may not talk every day, but I want the best for you in every way. I'll be the one to let it go. I'm moving on from me. I'll be the one to clear the road of any hard feelings. So no, I'm happy for you.
All right, all right. Welcome back to Reclaiming My Life. Now we're here with my second guest, the beautiful, my friend, Miss Indrani Williams. Welcome, beautiful.
Thank you for having me here. I really appreciate this.
Yes, you are so welcome. So, Indrani, if you would, tell our audience a little bit about yourself.
I'm 46 years old. I'm married. I have two beautiful boys. Well, they're men now, 17 and 21. And I was born at NCV in a hospital, and I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. Glad to have you. Glad to have you. So look, Indrani, I know that you went through a very traumatic experience, and I wanted to have you on because, when we talk about trauma, a lot of times, people are thinking about, abuse and, in all forms. There's so many different kinds of abuse when we talk about trauma. And also, PTSD. When we talk about PTSD, we're thinking more of military. But you were in an accident, a car accident, in which now you're suffering from PTSD. Can you tell us about your accident?
Yes. On August the 31st of 2023, I was leaving my job to go home. So it was around 6:15, and I yielded to a yellow light, and boom, I was pushed through the intersection, and finding myself calling 911. So that moment changed my life. So
Wow.
yes, I'm here to reclaim my life.
Wow.
I should have went to the hospital, but I didn't think that, it's not a big deal at the time. And I had a witness, so that was a blessing. She pulled in front of me and called 911. I was so out of it that I gave the 911 operator the wrong address because I was just so flustered. Didn't think that would happen to me, and didn't know, like, is this real? Does this really happen?
Right.
So at the time, the 911 operator told me, asked, was there fire? Do you have smoke? And I replied, no, it wasn't. And they told me to stay in the car until the officer comes. In the meantime, the person who hit me came to my window and started questioning me on why did I stop. And my witness at the time, I didn't know what all was happening, came to the car as well and shared that you hit her. And the light was yellow. And so he went to ask her, was it a hard yellow or soft yellow?
Oh, my goodness.
And she's just like, it was yellow. That doesn't matter. You hit her. So at that time, the witness had to leave, of course. She wasn't expecting this either. And she gave me her business card, and she went off, and the officer came, and we exchanged information. And my car was totaled. His car was totaled. I had a sedan at the time, and it was an SUV. And he was more visibly hurt. He was bleeding. He had blood on him.
Oh, my goodness.
I, at the time, didn't seem to have anything going on with me. We're just shooken up. And so the officer said, hey, you could go home or call an ambulance. At this time, I go, no, I'm fine. I'll just go home. No. It's going on year 2, and I'm still feeling the effects of this accident.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
So in what ways would you say, from the accident, it's been 2 years, in what ways has it affected your life?
Oh my gosh, it has taken my faith. It has shook my faith to the core. I was wondering why me? Why now? I was following the rules, obeying the law, and I'm facing the consequences of it. Throughout this process, I have been diagnosed with PTSD. Every time I drive and I come to a yellow light, my body freezes. And I don't know how to react, because when I yield, this situation happens to me. And if I run it, I will be in trouble for that as well. And I don't want to hurt anyone else in the process. So it was very real. I had a hard time sleeping. I couldn't sleep every night. I have nightmares of what happened and how my future may look from now. So I have a chiropractor, I have a physical therapist, I have a orthopedic doctor, and they're all my team are helping me through this process. And at this time, nobody was facing my mental issues. So all these doctors like, have you seen your primary? I'm like, what for? How does this play out? I'm seeing all these specialists. What do I need a primary for? And my primary care was like, you need to see a doctor. You need to see a mental doctor, because I was crying. I was so stressed. I'm not sleeping at night. I was going to doctors 5 days a week
Wow.
from this accident. And my life before this was a doctor 3 times a year.
Right.
My eyes, my physical and girly parts. And now I'm going every day, 5 days a week, and I work 4 days a week.
Right. Yeah.
And so this took away my confidence. You know, I was shook and I thought God forsaken me. Like, why? What is this? What did I do? Like you mentioned, what did I do to deserve this? But I realized that God had a bigger plan. I could have died. Could have
That's
been
right.
worse. You know?
That's right. So you found ways that you can count it joy.
Absolutely, absolutely. To go back on this, on the next day of the accident, I woke up and pain hit me. My knees were swollen. My body was hurting. It was bent over. It was crunched over because of this accident. I was going on adrenaline at the time. I went to patient first. They checked me out, took my blood pressure. Of course, it was high because I was in pain. And they x-rayed my legs and said, "Oh, ma'am, you're fine. Go home for 3 days. So take some ibuprofen and rest it, and you'll be fine." Every day to those 3 days continued, my pain worsened.
Wow.
And they said, "Oh, no, nothing's wrong." And I went back on day 3 and said, "Hey," you know, even the ladies, they were like, "You were just here." I'm like, "Yes." And my pain has worsened. So what do I do now? How do I maneuver through this? And I was very upset. So I felt that the doctor didn't really pay attention to me. And I requested a different physician. And he came in and told me to sit on the table and went straight to my back. And I just jumped off the table. It was so much pain. He's like, "Right away, go to orthopedic. Right here's your back. Your knees is secondary, you know?" And at this time, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I just was living my best life, leaving work, trying to go home, and this chaos has entered my world.
Right. Right.
So at this time, I quickly called an orthopedic doctor and got seen, and I was so inflamed, they couldn't diagnose me or anything. So I had to take a anti-inflammatory, take a steroid, and pain medicine, muscle relaxers, and I came from not taking any medication.
I was getting ready to say, so it sounds like
Pop
now
and
you have,
pills.
yes,
Yes.
yeah.
And I didn't like that. That was not me, you know? But I realized many people go through this. So it humbled me to say that, wow, this is real. Pain is real. And it made me appreciate people who go through pain every day.
Yeah, so also, you know, thinking about, you know, you had a vehicle, your car was paid for, you know, now you have to get a new vehicle, you have to get another car payment, then that can add stress as well, you know, affect your mental health, you know, then at times, you know, sometimes, you know, people just don't understand what you're going through, you know, your circle, you know, everybody is still expecting or pulling from you when sometimes you may feel like, hey, you know, I can barely be here today for me. You know, so what's your experience? Are you having any experiences like that?
Yes. Again, I was the powerhouse, me and my husband, we were providers, and I couldn't work anymore. I was going to the chiropractor on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, the physical therapist on Tuesday and Thursday, so I had little time. My job was very lenient on me because they understood what happened, and when I have my moments, they would tell me that I could leave and I could go home, or I could, you know, leave for my appointments and all that. So that was fine and taken care of. So that was very helpful that my job was accommodating.
Another thing that you can count joy.
Yes, joy. My job was very accommodating. And I have to realize I had a blessed group of people around me to support me. You know, I was seen as a negative to see all these doctors, but at the end of the day, God provided me with that. What if I did not have that, you know? So I had a team working to help me recover my life.
Yes, help you reclaim.
Reclaim,
okay?
yes,
and
reclaim.
Also, you know what? You said in the beginning that your faith was shaken.
It was.
But you're sitting here saying, God, I thank you. I have
Yes,
a blessed
I thank
circle.
you. Yes.
You know, so that's what I'm saying. Sometimes, you know, yes, our faith can be shaken, but, you know, we have to quickly, you know, reverse it and say, okay, wait a minute. What can I count joy? You know, God, I see you in this. I see how you know, you got my circle tight. I see how, you know, you're keeping my job, you know, and trust me, this is something I do on a daily.
Yes.
When I get frustrated. I'd be like, oh, wait a minute. What can I count joy? because look, Tutu from the Truth That's, legendary group, have a song now, Not My Joy. And I said, you know what? This is the anthem for the year. And we're going to say, Not My Joy. Yes, not my joy. I don't want this to steal your joy. You're beautiful. You're blessed. You have so much that you can count joy. You're sitting here with me today.
Absolutely.
And like you said, you have a blessed circle. So I just want you to tell this situation, not my joy, that you are going to reclaim your life.
I will reclaim my life.
Yes.
Yes.
What can you say to the people who have experienced the same, who's listening to you saying, yes, I get all of this. I get it. This is what happened to me. What can you say to encourage them and help them reclaim their lives?
Don't give up. Don't give up. Keep the faith and don't give up. Regardless of how crazy it looks, you can do this. You have a support team. You may not think you do, but God is there. It could have went any kind of way, I blamed, like, what did I do? Like, God, how could this be? I just leave work and boom, my life has changed.
Yes.
Yes. But it has changed in a beautiful way because, again, it lets me connect with people more. It lets me appreciate things more, And I always would phrase, since this incident, my Job in the Bible. I felt like I had nothing and was pulled. I just finished gaining. I go, car's just paid off. I'm living my life. I feel comfortable. Family's doing good, and boom, the rug. Yes. Mentally, physically, emotionally, this accident shook me.
Wow.
I didn't see that I'll have to pay a car note now. Financially, I was like, oh, I'm safe now. I just finished the line. I just paid this car off. And it says, oh, you got to get a new one.
Right.
And I work far, so I have to rely on transportation.
Yes.
And so, financially going to these doctors costs.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, look, my friend, I'm praying for you.
Thank you.
And I know that God will restore you and that you will reclaim your life.
Yes.
And look, to you all now, I understand, hey, we all go through something and it can be very difficult. Things aren't easy, but I'm praying for each and every one of you that you too can reclaim your life. Be blessed.